Welcome to That Entrepreneur Life, a podcast about entrepreneurship that takes you from idea to launch and beyond. Each week, your hosts, Andrew Lees and Clint McPherson, discuss different business topics aimed at adding value to any entrepreneur's journey.
Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of That Entrepreneur Life. I'm Andrew Lees, and I'm here with my co-host, Clint McPherson. What's up, brother? How you doing?
Not much, man. Just coming off the weekend. Had a good weekend with the family. Excited to kick another episode off with you and our special guest today, Devin Miller. How you doing, brother?
Oh, I'm doing pretty well. Busy as always, but that's the way I like it. So life is great.
That's awesome. Yeah, that's the way to be. You know, be as busy as you can be. Obviously within reason, you know, I don't want to be going crazy, but busy when you're an entrepreneur, busy is good, usually. So yeah, man, it's an honor to have you on the show today. Before we get into everything, can you just give our audience a quick overview of who you are and what you're all about?
Yeah. And that's, you know, the simple questions always have the longest answer. So I'll try and keep it a reasonably short, but,
yeah.
So I'm founder and CEO of Miller IP Law. So that's kind of maybe where to start out. So I help a lot of startups and small businesses with patents, trademarks, copyrights, and other business related legal matters, LLCs, NDAs, and those type of things. So that's kind of the part of the focus I do and a large part of what I do. And I also have a bit of an entrepreneurial streak, so to speak. I love to do startups and small businesses myself. So a decent amount of my time is split between the law firm as well as I've started and founded and run a few different startups. Some of them are kind of side hustles. Others have grown to 7 and 8 figure businesses. So I kind of have those two passions that I like to dive into and run. And then I also have a family, 4 kids, ages 5 to 10, and married 13 years. And I'm in Utah, so it's a wonderful snowy weather here. So get to play in the snow a bit as well. So there's a quick intro to myself.
That's perfect. Yep. Yeah.
I love that, man. I'm glad you're here. And with you, Devin, being an expert IP attorney, right? Focusing on helping startups and along with everything else. Can you take us back to when your entrepreneurial journey actually started and what it is about entrepreneurship specifically that led you to where you are today, my man?
Yeah. So I'd probably say, I always kind of had the desire to do entrepreneur stuff, always kind of had a bit of that thing, but really kind of started in 2 places. One is when I finished up. So undergraduate, I did electrical engineering and Chinese, did a double major, and kind of got to the end and said, hey, I love engineering, but I don't want to be an engineer in the sense that I don't want to necessarily be stuck on one project for a long period of time or be a small cog in a big wheel type of a thing. So as I was kind of figuring out what I wanted to do after undergraduate, I kind of had a couple different competing interests. I wanted to be an entrepreneur. The other, I liked the intellectual property and the law side of it. So I kind of split it and did both. So I went off and did graduate school. I did both a law degree as well as an MBA degree, which is a master's in business administration. And then as far as kind of getting into the entrepreneur stuff, really the first entrance was, so I was doing, busy as always. And I said, I like to keep busy. So I was doing law degree, MBA degree. I was working 20 hours as a law clerk at a law firm. And then I saw I can't remember if it was an email or a poster. I don't remember. It's your flyer. Basically, it's one of those, hey, it's a business competition. You can come in, hear kind of the spill, and then people can form groups and you can enter into a business competition doing that. So, that sounds like fun. So decided I went and attended. I didn't know anybody there, found a group of other people that didn't know anybody there. And so we all formed a group. We entered the first year and it was just it was an idea to make gym bags less smelly. Didn't go in or much of anywhere. We took second, but we decided after that it wasn't a real business or opportunity. So we came back the next year and we kind of were pitching ideas. And I remember, we had like self-packing boxes and other crazy ideas that none of them really would have been workable in reality. So we're kind of brainstorming as to what the idea would be. And I remember kind of walking home and I was into marathons at that time. And I still run quite a bit today and was thinking, wouldn't it be cool if you could monitor your hydration level as you're working out so that you don't get dehydrated, you don't, you can perform to the best of your ability. So that idea spawned the first business I entered into, which was wearables. And this was the days before Fitbit. Fitbit wasn't even out or wasn't even thought of yet. Same thing with Apple Watch. that kind of founded the idea of doing a wearable for hydration monitoring. So came back, pitched it to the group, entered in the competition, took second place again. And that's a longer gripe fest as to why we should have taken first and we were robbed. But then I got to the end and I said, I think we were all graduating. We were all seniors at that time and everybody's going to go their separate ways. So I think there's a business opportunity here. So I bought everybody out and I said, okay, I'd like to proceed forward. Everybody's going across all different places of the country. I bought them all out and then I continued to build that. Grow the business. We licensed it and merged with a couple other companies, and that company is still live and going today. So that's probably my first entrance into entrepreneurship, a real entrance.
That's awesome.
That's really cool. Yeah. So you have, I like that you have some experience. You work with entrepreneurs, but you also have experience really not just being an entrepreneur as that you have a law practice, because that's definitely entrepreneurial. You own your own business, but you've also got these other, entrepreneurial pursuits that you've worked on over the years, all the way back to college before you even started your law practice. So I think that's really cool. What was the company called? What's the product called that helps you monitor your hydration? That sounds really cool.
So it's actually evolved to slightly longer version of the story. So we got the company up and going. We had a prototype, proof of concept, and then we were kind of getting to the next level of, okay, now we have to actually get into manufacturing production. We needed another round of investors to kind of take that to the next level. So as we were exploring that, we actually came across another company that was doing more for diabetes monitoring. A lot of the technology we come up with and created and overlap pretty well with diabetes monitoring. So we actually pivoted a bit, rather than taking investor dollars on for the hydration monitoring, saw a bigger market and a bigger opportunity by merging with this company. So that was actually, they did some licensing deals and other agreements to put in place. And so the company that's now kind of the genesis, or that started out as the hydration monitoring, is now is launched, and it's called 𝗂𝗏 Health. And they do diabetes monitoring and then doing a lot of wearables that are going to be coming out towards the end of this year. So
nice.
Still continuing on and pivoting as every good company does.
Yeah, for sure.
Sure. Finding even if you didn't market the product yourself, finding the right fit and finding somebody else who might be able to position it even better than maybe you could at that point in time is super smart, because you could have, instead of waiting years and years and years to monetize it, I'm sure you were able to get a relatively quick, maybe not exit, but relatively quick monetization of that idea, which is so key, because I think a lot of people, especially with physical products, it's really difficult. It's difficult to get from your idea to monetization. Idea to a finished, to a product that works, that functions, and that can be manufactured. That's one thing, but really actually making money on it can be a whole different story. So partnering in some way with a company, or licensing it, outright, or selling the whole thing off completely can be a good way to go. How much did your law background help with that business? Or,
so this business specific quite a bit. So a lot of where we ended up or having the value and be able to combination was with intellectual property. So we had a pretty good patent portfolio that played a lot into the leveraging of the value and what it was evaluated on, because otherwise we certainly had some electronics prototypes and data, but that's a lot harder to put a valuation and to be able to just put a firm value. So a lot of what we did was based on the intellectual property and primarily the patent portfolio we had, that we combined with what they were doing, some of the client base and other things, and kind of formed the new company based on each other's contribution. So in that sense, the law background and to be able to do a lot of the legal work certainly played a pivotal role.
I love how you took it from concept and you were able to pivot, though, right? You took it from all these different, whatever iterations you went through, and you didn't really let that slow you down of actually creating or moving forward and collaborating or partnering up with another company that, again, was a good fit. And so there's a lot of things that, a lot of times, whether you have a physical product, whatever it is that you're getting out there, and you see your dream just dash because it's like, okay, well, this is not, like, how can I leverage this? How can I maneuver in this area? But then when you can kind of see the stars align, even if it's not exactly the hydration portion of it, but it's helping an audience with individuals that have diabetes, or you're able to contribute that way. I mean, that's pretty cool to me, man. And again, not letting anything dictate. And again, like the same thing with businesses during the COVID era, having a pivot. Same thing for you and in your journey, right? Having a pivot in that specific portion and finding out how it mirrored up and saying, look, this is a good match and let's roll with it. And that's awesome, man.
Yeah. And I think that's oftentimes as a business, that's where sometimes people get stuck, and it's a hard place to be, in the sense, on the one hand, you want to be persistent. You want to see your way through. You want to, you don't want to give up. And sometimes with a business, you're just that close and you don't want to give up. And on the other hand, you can't get so stuck on the original idea of how you had it or conceived it or how you thought of it that you're not open to opportunities. You're not exploring things that may be better, that are necessitate a pivot. And so I think that there's always that balance of persistence and pushing through and continue to do it, while also listening and looking for opportunities to take advantage and to grow the business. And I think that it's that balance. And if you can find that right balance, to your point, whether it's COVID or changes in the marketplace or anything else, can have a pivotal impact on your business, because if you can pivot and adapt and figure out the best market position, it's going to give you that much greater advantage.
100%.
Yeah. And I think focusing on the problem instead of your solution is what it really helps with that, right? A lot of people are just completely obsessed with their solution, and they totally kind of, they lose track of the point of the whole thing is not to be obsessed with your solution, be obsessed with the problem. And then you're always trying to figure out what the best solution is. You're always adapting, making things a little better, improving your product or your service or whatever. And if you're doing that, you can see the gaps in your own product and say, hey, this was okay, but I've got some, if we improve this, we can make it better. We can change how we're solving people's problems. And I think that's seems like one of the big keys to that, to making sure that your product is always relevant and actually helpful.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree. So I think that's definitely being open, exploring, focusing on the problem, and then making sure your solution is lining up with the problem. Because a lot of times what you get into, I think, is you start to see a whole bunch of cool features or things you could add on or things that would be cool to you that oftentimes don't provide the value in solving the problem, right, are really cool and just sound awesome. And then you focus on and burn a lot of time, money, and effort on features that are really cool or that you think will be cool and that, but don't have the impact on solving the problem.
Exactly. So Devin, getting a patent is often one of the first things that people think of doing when they come up with an idea. They're like, I've got it. All right, I've got this idea, got to get it patented, got to get on a Shark Tank. Maybe that might be the second thing, but patent is always, I feel like, at the top of people's minds, but I think it's really misunderstood. I don't think a lot of people fully understand the process. Can you kind of quickly walk us through your process, for an inventor or a startup who's looking to protect their idea?
Yeah, and the first thing I would probably recommend people is, well, before you get a patent or trademark, anything else, is I would generally recommend going and getting an LLC or a corporation. Generally, LLC is the most affordable and also the most straightforward. And the reason you do that is that protects you against personal liability. So if you were to ever get sued, if you had product liability, if you infringe somebody else's trademark or patent or anything else, an LLC gives you a buffer so they can't come after your home or your savings or your vehicles or any other, assets that you have. They can only go after the business. So I always counsel people, the first thing you should think about is really getting that LLC in place before you go on the patent side. But now let's say you do get you get the LLC in place, that's going forward and you're able to do that. Then the next thing, as far as, when you get a patent, the misconception, or sometimes what you'll get, is people will think, if I have a great idea and I get a patent, then everybody's going to be pounding my doors down to get a license, or everybody's going to just come and pay me lots of money. In 99% of the time, or 99.9% of the time, that's not the case. Patents are valuable, and I certainly have a biased opinion, but they can certainly play a place in the business. But it's not going to be that is going to just make it so all you have to do is get a patent and it's going to sell itself type of a thing. Really, a patent is more there. So as you come up with a great idea or, a great invention, the next great iPhone or the next great widget, whatever it is, it allows you to maintain some exclusivity. You can capture the time, money, and effort, the value that you put into the business, And then you're able to, both monetize it, capture it, and otherwise safeguard it against other people coming along. But you still have to build a business. You still have to actually build a product. You have to sell it. You have to get down in the marketplace. You can have the world's best patent. It doesn't do you any good if you can't build a business around it, or, build a business around the invention. Mm-hmm. On the flip side, if you, let's say you build the world's best business and it takes you millions of dollars, takes you years in the making, and you finally get it and you're starting to build a business, the worst position to be in is now you spend all this time, money, and effort, and then to have someone come along, knock it off, copy it, and then you have no recourse because you don't have anything to protect it. You don't have a patent. And so they reverse engineer it, they figure it out, and then you're kind of stuck there. So there's a balance between, on the one hand, it's not going to just be the easy path to success or to money. And on the other hand, if you truly are building a business, you need to look at how you're going to incorporate that into your strategy.
Yeah, 100% agree with that. I think it is kind of a misconception that patent equals money, and it definitely does not mean that. But you're right. Safeguarding against somebody who could come in and steal your idea is really important. The other thing that I see as a product development engineer, because I talk to my clients about patents. I'm not, I'm not getting into the weeds, about it. But they kind of think that, in addition to, hey, once I get a patent, I'll just make money on this. They're just not really sure of how to go with it, whether to get a non-provisional, to get a provisional, to get, and they're a design patent. And so there's all these things that are kind of flying around that they're not really completely clear on. And so I'm at least going through and saying, all right, maybe start with a provisional, and then work your way up to a non-provisional. You have a year to do that. And this is what that means. This really provisional, it's not even reviewed, but it gives you that the date, the filing date. So that priority date. But yeah, it's interesting, but I think it's just really helpful to get through all that information, kind of help people who are starting out, learn about the process. So.
No, and I think this is a level. So, I mean, there's whenever, if you were jumping in or saying, hey, should I get a patent or when should I consider? There's always a couple triggering points, and then we'll touch on a little bit about a provisional, but you really look at, first is, are you too early, or when can you start to think about a patent? And really the place that you need to be is, in legal terms, is called conceptual reduction to practice. What that basically means is you need to be able to explain it to a level that someone else in the industry would understand it. So you can say, not that you have to invent it or created it. You don't have to have a prototype yet, but you have to have the level of detail, thought it through, to say someone else, if I were to go explain that, to say, okay, I get it. I could go make it if I wanted to, type of a thing. So that's kind of the earliest you want to think about. The other thing, just is for people to think about, is on the latest is, once you put anything out into the public. So if you put it out, you put it in on a website, you put it in on a trade show, you put it in, you start selling it to people, you put it on Amazon, anything or all the above. The first time you put it out in the public, from that date, you have a year from which you can file a patent application on it. If you don't, it becomes public domain. It means anybody can use it, anybody can do it, and not able to get protection. So those are kind of the two gating things, is you have to be able to explain it to a level that people understand it in the industry. You don't want to wait longer than that year. And then the provisional is one where it's a good option for startups, small businesses that are either budgetary or budget conscientious. And as a startup, you always have more things to spend money on than you have money to spend. And so it's a good option that's a little bit less expensive. And then it also gives you, hey, if we're still doing a lot of R&D, we're still doing a lot of development, we want to capture what we have done up until this point and protect it. Then you can kind of use a provisional to catch that, finish up your development, and then circle back and add that additional detail in.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that process is probably, to some individuals, can be overwhelming, right? Because they don't know what they're getting into. I mean, I know if I had a product, maybe because I know now, right, that a patent can protect it. But in some cases, somebody comes up with an idea, they share it, whatever. I mean, just got to be careful these days, right? You got to be careful how you approach things and make sure, again, like you can explain it, like you just said. But I really think that's a good approach and some very valuable information. I appreciate that, man.
No, absolutely. And my piece of advice to people is always, whether it's myself or anybody else, you're always wanting to, it's not too early to at least go and talk with an attorney, get a strategy in place. And they may tell you, hey, you're way too early. We can't help you yet. Here's what you want to consider and think about. Here's how you strategize for your business down the road, such that when you are ready to pull that trigger, you have everything in place. But that's why I'd always encourage people, at least go out, talk with an attorney, get a strategy or an idea of when would it make sense to jump into that. And then once you do, then you're able to kind of have that outline or that strategy and that pathway to make sure that you protect what you're investing in.
So Devin, I mean, when it comes to patent law, right? I mean, what is it about patent law that really gets you fired up? And did you always know you wanted to focus on helping entrepreneurs?
Yeah. So what gets me fired up is a little bit of the same answer in the sense that I worked for a period of my career before I started my own law firm about 3 years ago. I worked for the top 100 law firms in the nation, some of the biggest ones. I worked for clients like Amazon.com and Intel and Red Hat and Ford and others. And so there was name recognition. Everybody knew the clients I was working for because everybody's heard of them. And yet what I really found is I loved working with the startups and the small businesses, in the sense that, when you're working for the big companies, you're a small cog in a big wheel. You're working a very small part of their big ecosystem. Half of the patents that you work on, they never see the light of day. They're doing a lot of R&D, of which never actually gets developed. And so you don't really get to see the impact. Vice versa with the startup or small business, they got one shot, right? They're shooting for the moon. They're trying to build something, and they need that strategy. They need that guidance and that assistance. But you also get to see if they go, like, what you worked on is actually what they're taking to marketplace. So I just found that to be fun and exciting, as I was, getting to have a bit more of a strategy and impact and help on the company versus a big company. So that's what kind of gets me excited. As far as wanting to, always wanting to go in IP law, I always wanted to be an entrepreneur and work with startups and small businesses. And it was a way that I always had an interest in legal. And so it's kind of a good combination that I can kind of put all of my interests together, that I can still pursue my own startups, my own businesses on one aspect. And then I get to work with a lot of other cool businesses and help them on there. So it kind of just meshed all together. And I don't know exactly when that came about or when that clicked in my mind. It was sometime as I was getting ready to graduate from undergrad.
It just probably all fell in place, right? Because I really believe if it's meant to be, it happens, right? So
absolutely.
Yeah. And having that entrepreneurial spirit and background, I feel like it probably for you, it was kind of meant to be, you were meant to work with entrepreneurs. I kind of feel that same way with my business, doing product development for people. I worked for a company that did product development for larger businesses, not huge behemoth type businesses, but we were doing large scale automation equipment engineering and development for companies, all kinds of these different large scale products and projects that were kind of sounded kind of cool. They were cool on some level, but same thing with me, man. Is I didn't feel like I could impact the project as much as I wanted to. And I wanted to kind of see it from cradle to grave, like idea through development and at some point, hopefully say, hey, I worked on that thing, that started from nothing, from an entrepreneur in his garage or basement, had this idea and I helped him develop it and look where it is now. So I think having that entrepreneurial background, it just kind of feels right to work with other entrepreneurs and, really, really help them on their journey.
Definitely. Completely agree with you.
Yeah. So Devin, through your entrepreneurial journey, from the highs to the lows, what do you think's been the most challenging thing? And that this could be with your law firm, this could be with your other ventures, whatever. What's the most challenging thing for you?
Oh, employees. I don't know. I mean, there's a lot of, things. I mean, the one that I would say challenging can mean a few different things. One is it can just be difficult, but difficult isn't. Sometimes difficult things are fun. I like to solve some of the problems with the business, how to grow it, how to position ourselves, how to keep ahead of the market, how to do, those type of things. So while they're challenging and difficult, I like the challenge and I think it's fun. So in that sense, I don't know that I find it challenging in the sense that it's not fun. I always look at more of, what's challenging with the business are typically the things that you don't find to be as fun. And those are always the things that you dread or you get done because they have to get done, not necessarily because you want to do them. And that's always, managing employees, whether or not keeping them motivated, keeping them happy, picking the right ones, hiring and firing, bringing them on board. Probably a similar thing with taxes and finance. I'm not a big guy that loves to do all of the taxes and the finance and the bookkeeping. Needs to get done. I get why I do it, because otherwise I'll get the IRS knocking on my door and they won't be happy. But on the other hand, it's not one that I just say, oh, I'm excited to do bookkeeping today.
Right.
So I think on the one sense, the challenge of doing the things that you don't want, you just have to simply say, this is part of the thing, part of the journey, part of running a business. Not all of it's going to be fun. And I'll do those things because it helps the business. And then the ones that are challenging, that are fun, are the ones that I like to do it. And those ones are usually kind of what I mentioned, figuring out how to keep ahead of the marketplace, how to be doing something different, how to challenge kind of the status quo, are all the fun things that I think are, while they're challenging, make the business, or is what makes me want to, or do the entrepreneur and do a small business.
It makes a lot of sense, man, because this day and age, we're moving a million miles an hour, right? I mean, technology advances almost like on a daily basis. So everything is just that goes along with everything basically outside of technology too, because it's just we have everything at our fingertips, right? Like everything's right here. If we want to know something, we Google it, right? That's the phrase that people say. Or you want to learn about something, you go watch a YouTube video. Right. I mean, everything is out there. You just got to also know how to siphon through all the clutter, get past the shiny object syndrome, right? Because we all can go down there. I think some entrepreneurs too have the imposter syndrome that they got to get past, right? Like, why me? Why am I good enough to be here? But I mean, I believe if you're an entrepreneur and you have that imposter syndrome, or you really have that ADHD to where you're chasing after all the shiny objects, you're going to have to, that's a weakness in your tool belt, right? That you got to learn how to strap in and actually put that thing on every day and not really focus on that stuff. And then those are red flags that you're going to have to learn how to manage and get past. But I mean, I really think at the end of the day, I mean, again, we have to pivot so quickly these days, right? I mean, we have to make so many decisions so much quicker now, especially when it comes with employees and keeping them motivated. I mean, I can understand where that struggle is from time to time, right? Because you might be a motivated person and you might believe in everything you're doing and the direction your company's going, but that doesn't mean your employee that you just hired is that same way or has that warm and fuzzy, or somebody that's been working with you for however long. So you do have to come up with innovative approaches on how to keep them motivated sometimes, or how to give them recognition. Because I mean, I'm somebody that I keep it's black and white with me, right? There's no real gray area. I'm going to typically always try to make the right decision, and I'm always going to treat people fairly, but sometimes that gets overlooked because we can get in the minutia and the weeds, and we can get our daily tasks might get in the way. But again, we always got to keep those people in mind that actually help us succeed, to give them the proper recognition they need, because again, they might be busting their ass on the other end and they're actually making us successful. And sometimes entrepreneurs from us at the end of the day want to take all the credit and not give them the credit that's due for them helping you get to where you are. But at the end of the day, man, I really think, again, that's something that can't be overlooked. But I know as an entrepreneur and doing so many things and having our hands on so many different portions and pieces of the pie, that can get overlooked. And then you have the employees feeling unworthy, or they're like looking for the next thing because they don't feel like they're being treated fairly. And that can be aggravating as hell, because you can be saying all the right things, right? You can be giving them recognition, but for them, that person, that's not good enough for them. They want the money that comes along with it. But that's also something that needs to be communicated, right? Like at a point, it's like, what makes you click? Right? Like, you're an employee of mine. What makes you tick? Is it money? Is it something that, recognition? Is it time off, right? For doing good, for helping us get to this level? Is it whatever it is, man? Like a gift card from time to time. You just got to know that type of stuff and really let them see that you care, right? Asking them questions about their family. I really think a lot of that little stuff that we might overlook at the end of the day goes a long way with employees.
Yeah. And I think that, building on that, I think that you have to understand whether or not the employee's in the right position, right? In the sense that some employees do a great job or they're hardworking, but they don't fit, whether it's they don't fit the firm culture, they don't fit the position well, they don't, aren't motivated from the same things. One of the things I always had to take a step back and remind myself is, as a business owner, as a startup, as a person, you work hard, and a lot of times you go into it and you think everybody else is going to work hard, everybody else is going to be as motivated, everybody else is going to be all in, and yet that's not always where the employees come in, and most of the time it's probably not. And so you have to figure out what is a fair analysis of where they're at, what their abilities are, what motivates them, and then see if that lines up well with you. And sometimes it does, and sometimes it lines up well with the company. And other times you're saying, hey, you're a great person, you're a great employee, but you don't fit with what we're doing. And, let's find either a better position for you or find you a place somewhere else that better fits kind of with what your goals are.
Love it.
Yeah, that's awesome. So, Devin, as we wrap up this episode, if you could give our listeners one piece of advice, what would that be?
Yeah, it's probably one that I hit on already, at least with intellectual property, but I would even say in a broader sense, and I think it incorporates intellectual property, is get a strategy in place as to what you're going, or what you want, what you need to do, and when you're going to do it. Now, inevitably, every plan flies out the window kind of when, rubber hits the road, but you need to have that strategy in place of, okay, this is how we're going to hit the market. This is how we're going to build a team. This is how we're going to have the right people in place. This is when we're going to hit get the funding, when we're going to hit intellectual property, and at least kind of have that roadmap. Now, I'm not saying, the old business plan that's 50 pages and everything else. It can be a lot simpler, a page or two, but at least do the due diligence up front to convince yourself that it's worthwhile to do the startup or the small business. And there's a reasonable chance of success, such that when you hit those roadblocks, you can turn back and, make sure you've already convinced yourself that it's going to work. I just have to figure out how to pivot around it. So my general thing would be take the time up front to figure out the strategy for the business before just diving into it.
Yeah, I completely agree. I've talked to so many entrepreneurs who I've helped them develop a product for, and, that's just one piece of the puzzle. But they don't necessarily know how to get from their idea all the way through all the things that they have to do step by step, like, develop the product, file for a patent, maybe get a trademark, file an LLC, all those the little things on the front end and sort of all the big things on the back end. Also, once you've got a product that you can sell, then you need to start thinking about marketing and sales. So, and I think a lot of people just don't really know how to go through that process. They maybe they think it's a little easier than it actually is, or maybe they think it's a lot harder than it is, and they just don't know, right? So, yeah, I've started to help clients with a strategy, and actually start another service just totally around that, where it's just a step by step from start to finish. So you have an idea, let's try to get you from that idea all the way through, and coming up with specifically a patent strategy is awesome. And that's something that, it sounds like that you really, especially from talking to you and checking out your website, that sounds like that's something that you really, you like to do. And that's important, instead of just diving in and saying, hey, let's get a patent. It's like, hold on, let's take stock of where you are, what your goals are, what your product is, how far along you are. That's another thing too. I've seen people who have, they got a utility, non-provisional utility patent. It's been years since they filed. They waited until they got the patent, and then they came to me to develop the idea. And I'm like, great, but this patent kind of handcuffs us in the functionality and what we can do with the design, right? Because we can only do so much. Now I'm trying to design a product within the perimeters of that patent. And sometimes I'm like, hey, the best product or the best solution for your customer problems is not this exact product. It's something different. And if we do that's something different, you're not going to be protected. So what do we do? So I think it's good to have that, get something going on the patent end, at least, do a search, consult with somebody like you, consult with somebody like me. Ideally, guys like you and I are working together through that process, right? Because then you can build much stronger claims. I make sure that we're protecting that you're protecting the right solution to the problem and that I'm on the same page with development. So, and you can't figure all that out without a strategy. So I think that's awesome advice.
100%.
I definitely agree with you on all of that.
Cool.
Yeah, guys, I think the moral of the story from both of you right there is, right, do your research, create a damn roadmap, take action, and get in touch with Devin or Andrew to make it happen, right?
Absolutely. Sounds like a great summary of what we just went over.
That's it. Yeah.
Well, guys, I think that's a wrap for this episode. And from the both of us, Devin, man, we want to thank you for taking the time of your day to join us and adding value on our podcast, man.
Absolutely. It was fun to be on, fun to chat, and appreciate you having me on.
Yeah, appreciate you coming on. Thanks, Devin. Thank you all so much for listening to That Entrepreneurial Life. To learn more about what Devin is working on, check out 𝗿𝗵𝗄𝗟𝗏𝗄𝗏𝗄.com. And if you like what you heard today, please subscribe to our podcast and don't forget to download our free ebook at thatentrepreneurlife.com.
And if you're interested in having us do some mini masterclasses, guys, outside of the podcast episodes, please contact us through our website so we can continue to add value to what you're trying to do. Thanks for continuing to support what we do as entrepreneurs. And don't forget to join us next week for another episode of That Entrepreneurial Life.
Thanks for listening to That Entrepreneur Life podcast. Be sure to visit thatentrepreneurlife.com to join the conversation, access our show notes, and discover our fantastic bonus content. Don't forget to join us next week for another episode as we continue to add value. Until next time.